Good morning, Your Excellency Dr. Diana Abdelkarim Al-Jahrami, Higher Education Council, Secretary General and Deputy Chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the Higher Education Council. Excellencies and distinguished guests, a warm welcome to you all at the third conference in the Middle East on AI in Higher Education, which is organized by His Highness Sheikh Nasser AI R&D Center, International Group of AI, and GEC Media Group. This conference brings leading academics and researchers to explore the transformative potential of AI in higher education, enabling attendees to gain insights into the evolving trends redefining the future of higher education and job opportunities. Your Excellency, we would also like to appreciate your role in the success of Kingdom's endeavors in the field of higher education by developing high educational policies and focusing on scientific research and adopting emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, to achieve what the Kingdom aspires to. I would like to call upon Her Excellency Dr. Diana Abdelkarim Al-Jahrami, Higher Education Council, Secretary General and Deputy Chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the Higher Education Council, to deliver her opening speech.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Your Excellencies, esteemed speakers and respected delegates. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and good morning. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you today at the inauguration of the third Bahrain International Virtual Conference on Artificial Intelligence in Higher Education, organized by His Royal Highness Sheikh Nasser Artificial Intelligence Research and Development Center and the Global AI Group in Bahrain. This conference brings about this conference, which aims to foster the synergy between technology and the educational process, focusing on the role of artificial intelligence in transforming higher education by improving curricula and teaching methodologies, is a plethora where renowned experts from esteemed regional and international higher education institutions have gathered to discuss the emerging AI trends, perks, and challenges. To that end, I'd like to accentuate that the Higher Education Council fully recognizes and appreciates the crucial role AI plays in developing high-caliber academic programs that resoundingly align with the global best practices and benchmark standards. It is no secret that AI is transforming and reshaping the way we live, work, study, and interact as we speak. From advancements in machine learning and natural language processing to breakthroughs in robotics and autonomous systems, AI is driving innovation at an unprecedented pace as applications span healthcare, finance, and education, enhancing efficiency, decision-making, and personalization. The rapid development of artificial intelligence is equally revolutionizing higher education, transforming how institutions deliver learning, conduct research, and support students. AI-powered tools such as personalized learning platforms and intelligent tutoring systems enable tailored educational experiences that adapt to individual students' needs. Administrative processes are becoming more efficient with the AI-driven enrollment management, predictive analytics, and resource allocation. Moreover, AI enhances research capabilities by analyzing complex data and accelerating discoveries. However, its integration raises important challenges pertaining to academic integrity, equity in access, and the role of educators requiring thoughtful implementation to harness its full potential responsibility. It is indeed the role of such a conference such as this one to address these challenges and fulfill the needs of the society. Artificial intelligence has become a fundamental element in the advancement of higher education, whether it's in students' engagement, curriculum development, or the application of generative AI in research and innovation. In this regard, the Higher Education Council places great emphasis on continually reviewing and evolving programs at higher education institutions to stay abreast with the latest AI breakthroughs and provide unwavering support to higher education institutions that strive to be at the forefront of embracing AI-driven curricula or specifically AI-geared academic programs. As the HEC finds it fundamental that students are equipped with the skills and knowledge necessary to thrive in an increasingly changing ecosystem. By offering specialized AI programs, we're not only enhancing Bahrain's academic offerings, but also ensuring that we remain at the cutting edge of global trends in AI education locally, regionally, and internationally. This also necessitates that higher education institutions continually enhance their academic capabilities through continuous professional development and strengthened partnerships with globally recognized universities. This conference shall serve as a platform and a dynamic platform for exploring how artificial intelligence can be integrated across all academic disciplines, further strengthening the competitiveness of higher education institutions, both regionally and globally. It is essential that we all join effort in creating an educational environment that promotes innovation, critical thinking, and the responsible use of modern technologies. This will ensure that students in the Kingdom of Bahrain and beyond benefit from AI enhanced learning experiences and receive a world class education that meets the demands of the 21st century. Before I end my opening remarks, I'd like to take a moment to express my sincerest gratitude to His Royal Highness Sheikh Nasser Artificial Intelligence Research and Development Center and to the Global AI Group in Bahrain, represented by its president and the president of this conference, Dr. Jassim Haji, for his dedicated effort in promoting collaboration between local and international academic institutions in the field of artificial intelligence. In closing, I'd also like to extend my thanks and appreciation to the esteemed and renowned speakers we have with us today and to the delegates who join us from different geographical locations and whose deliberations and contributions I trust will further enhance our knowledge today and promote the use of artificial intelligence in higher education. This will contribute significantly to enhancing the competitiveness of higher education institutions and improving the global competitiveness indicators for all the countries involved. Thank you all once again, and I wish you a very successful and productive conference. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We thank Her Excellency Dr. Diana Abdel Karim Al Jahrumi for this noble speech, appreciating her great interest and obvious efforts in order to achieve what generations aspire to, as they are the real wealth of the kingdom. And now I would like to call upon Dr. Jassim Haji, Conference Chairman, to give his welcoming speech.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning, good afternoon, for our audience. First of all, I would like to sincerely thank and my gratitude to Her Excellency Dr. Diana Abdulkarim Al-Jahrami, General Secretary of Higher Education Council, for taking time from her busy schedule to deliver the opening speech and being present, but also in her support to the artificial intelligence since the past 2 years and her efforts to empower the university and students to the modern AI and generative AI. Apologies. Just to give you a background on this conference that we started, one of the first in the region. It was virtual in the first edition and then in presence, and this is the third one on higher education. And there was an impact on not only in Bahrain, but in the region on implementations of AI in the higher education and universities. I also like to thank His Excellency Minister of Education for his support in the AI and the curriculums and in schools and in education in general. Finally, but not the least, I would like to thank the speakers from Saudi Arabia, Dr. Lulua from UAE, Professor Ernesto, Dr. Chan, Dr. Amna, and also all the way from Belgium, Dr. Anthony. And I know in UAE and Belgium, this is Sunday and their day off, so taking time to join us, deliver the speech, and they have worked intensively on preparing the AI in higher education topics, which are very interesting and unique. I would like to just shed quickly light on Bahrain's achievements on AI, and particularly the future trends that we are working on. Of course, we started since 2017, one of the first on AI and perpetuating AI. And today and the future, we are looking at more of large language usage, in particular for university and students. We're looking at AI agents, we're looking at genetic AI, we're looking at training AI models using pre-built models or fine-tuning, and I'm sure the speakers will touch upon that. We are placing ourselves as the development center of AI in the region. And this is important for us because we have the capabilities, the histories to do so. And I think the future of AI in higher education and for the students is to be personalized, where we have a data for each student, where the data will be used to personalize the lessons, the syllabuses, and the exams. And this is the future for the education in general. But focusing on that from now, that will provide us with the better perspective to move forward using the development of AI and ensuring that the data that is available and the large languages are fitting the requirements. I will not hijack the topics that our distinguished speakers will be addressing today. And I just want to highlight once again the importance of this. We have other collaborations on AI in the coming months for AI in sports, AI in health, and AI where it is with the data and empowerment of women. Thank you again, and I will give the floor back to Delal to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Jassim Haji, for your speech and your continuous efforts in organizing various programs aiming at linking emerging technologies with practical practices in various fields. It is now for the first presentation of the day. Dr. Lulua Dhabi'i is the Director of Artificial Intelligence Center of Advanced Studies, Assistant to the Vice President for Graduate Studies and Scientific Research at King Saud University, and also the President of the Saudi Society for Data Science, a non-profit organization for data science. She holds an MSc and PhD in Artificial Intelligence, both earned from the University of Leeds. She is an accomplished artificial intelligence assistant professor. She boasts a substantial research record in applying cutting-edge technologies to address data-driven challenges. Dr. Lulwa will be talking about a new era of higher education, AI integration across disciplines. Dear audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat box. Dr. Lulwa Dhabi'i, your floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much for the kind invitation, and good morning, everybody, distinguished colleagues and educators and esteemed guests. It is really an honor to address this distinguished audience. Despite these advances in higher education must evolve further to harness AI's in full AI full potential, particularly through interdisciplinary programs. And this is what we're going to focus on today. In higher education, for example, student and faculty by automating their task, such as the application process, the grading, the resource allocation. However, despite these advances in higher education must evolve further to harness AI's in full AI full potential, particularly through interdisciplinary programs. And this is what we're going to focus on today. So Today, I'm also going to discuss the critical need to establish AI-related programs in higher education across diverse disciplines. So AI has far-reaching applications beyond its technical origins by embedding AI into diverse higher education programs. So we can, for example, drive interdisciplinary innovation. There's a lot of example that AI intersects with numerous disciplines, offering a transformative potential. For instance, AI can be used in public health that can improve disease prediction models. AI can be used in legal studies that can analyze case law trends and predict outcomes. AI also can be used in environmental science that can optimize resource management and sustainability effort. So there are many examples that AI, when we merge AI with higher education programs, we can reach to interdisciplinary innovation. Another goal is to develop specialized skill sets, and having interdisciplinary programs in higher education will lead to many job opportunities. In AI, for example, we know that there are lots of AI-specific roles where data scientists and AI engineers, machine learning engineers, or AI researchers are in high demand. However, having interdisciplinary programs going to lead to interdisciplinary applications. For example, AI can be in healthcare, AI can be in law. Lawyers, they have a full understanding of AI potentials and the problems and the legal issues that can emerge from AI usage or innovation. Other skill sets that we are looking for is the emerging field where AI is creating jobs in new domains. For example, AI ethics or explainable AI and human AI collaboration. Another critical need for AI is addressing the ethical challenges, and AI raises a profound ethical concerns from data privacy to algorithmic biases. So there are a lot of examples that AI can be used to address ethical challenges. For example, in philosophy, a student can explore the ethical implications of AI decision making in scenarios such as the self-driving issues, self-driving cars, and healthcare prioritization. That will delve into concepts like fairness in AI. Another example in law, where students can study AI governance framework focusing on data protection law, for example, the GDPR and intellectual property. And these topics raised recently as we have a lot of advancement in LLMs, large language models, and generative AI, where computer or AI algorithms can generate contents. So that raised a lot of problems in intellectual property. Another point is to enhance the global competitiveness. So universities around the world with interdisciplinary AI programs are better equipped to attract the top talent and funding, establishing themselves as leaders in the global innovation ecosystem. So I'm going to show to you some case studies and success stories from university or international universities around the world, from the top 10 or the top universities in the world. And an example of interdisciplinary program is the master program by UCL University College in London, where they have artificial intelligence for sustainable development, which focuses on combining AI with environmental and humanities challenges. So students, when they graduate from this program, will be able to use AI for climate change, for example, modeling to predict and mitigate environment disasters. Also, they will be able to leverage AI to optimize resources allocation in sustainable agriculture. Another example by University of California, San Francisco, where they use artificial intelligence, where they have a master program in artificial intelligence and computational drug discovery. A student from computer science background or from medical background, they can attend or they can apply to this program, where they focus on AI in drug discovery and development. Student will, the graduate will be able to use AI for drug or sorry, AI-driven identification of novel drug target to speed up the drug discovery. Also, they'll be able to virtual human trials to simulate the drug effects and reduce the need for physical trials. Another example from Berkeley University, University of California, Berkeley, where they have Berkeley Law, where they focus on AI. So lawyers will be able to deal with AI-related issues, or legal and regularity aspect of AI, where they combine AI ethics, governance, and regularity framework. So, for example, the lawyers will be able to address data privacy challenges in AI applications and explore the intellectual property issues raising from AI-generated content. Another example is from University of Illinois, where they merge geography with AI in cyber GIS and geospatial data science master program. They focus on AI in geographic information systems and geospatial data science. So students will be able to develop high performance computing for spatial data analysis and disaster management. Also, they'll be able to develop the AI-driven urban planning using geospatial data. Also, another example from Oxford University, where they apply AI in digital health, and this program focus on health solutions, digital health solutions, integration with AI to develop the health system. So students will be able to develop application like remote patient monitoring using AI-based tools or AI-powered digital diagnostic to enhance clinical decision-making. So imagine a future where higher education programs seamlessly integrate AI into every discipline. This vision might include different important objectives. For example, empowering the future-ready workforce. So equipping students with professionals with AI skills will lead to foster innovation. And this will help them to apply AI across disciplines to solve socialite and industrial challenges. Also, advancing research and interdisciplinary innovation is another goal of integrating AI into higher education. Last object is to drive economic impact. So leveraging AI education and research to boost productivity, create new industries, and contribute to sustainable economic development. And to reach this vision, we have to take strategic steps to integrate AI into higher education. So I divided them into 6 steps, starting from the goal and objective settings, where we define the long-term goal for integrating AI into the curriculum. We set clear objectives aligned with institutional goals, aligned with the vision of the national vision of the country, such as enhancing the employability and fostering innovation, and also improving research outcomes. The second step is need assessment, where we identify gaps in existing programs and also evaluate the institution readiness for AI adoption. So this can be conducted through surveys and consults with faculty and students and industry stakeholders. The third step is programs and curriculum development, where we design AI-specific courses for undergraduate or, for postgraduate student, such as machine learning, NLP, and data analytics. And also, an important part is to embed AI models into existing courses. However, we can focus on the usage level, not on the development level. I know sometimes in interdisciplinary programs, the focus on the technical parts might be something noisy for students. However, today we have a lot of application and lots of successful stories on using no-code platforms where student doesn't need to learn programming language, but they can use the ready developed tools to develop their models. It's like a drag and a drop tools that a student can learn it integrated with the data and then see the results. The fourth step is faculty training and development, where we provide training programs to upskill the faculty members in AI technologies and emerging technologies. This will encourage faculty participation in AI research and collaboration with industry experts, and let them also understand the vocabulary of AI, especially in fields that far away from AI or computer science. The fifth step is the infrastructure enhancement, where we invest in advanced computational infrastructure, including GPUs and cloud computing or services for AI research and learning. So to implement this kind of future, we need to enhance the infrastructure of AI in the university or in higher education system. The last step is research promotion or research support, where we establish AI-focused research centers for faculty and students to conduct cutting-edge studies where they focus on the AI application with interdisciplinary fields, providing them with seed funding, for example, for innovative AI research projects and collaborations. So higher education stands at the forefront of academic innovation. By embedding AI across disciplines, we are not only equip students with skills needed to navigate rapidly changed world, but also empower them to drive meaningful change. So thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to our discussion. Thanks.
Many thanks, Dr. Lula, for your insightful presentation. I have one question for you. How universities address plagiarism by students when generative AI is used for their dissertations?
Well, thank you very much for your question. Well, I can answer this question in two parts. The first part, will the university accept content generated by AI or generative tools like ChatGPT? This is the first question. And should be discussed within university. So some university will accept the text generated or the content generated by generative AI to some extent that will help the student in his thesis. For example, proofreading or reviewing some parts of the thesis. So this is the first part. The university should address this issue internally and see to which level they accept using generative tools. Some students, to be honest, they use generative AI to develop their code, where they write the code of the programs, especially computer science students. They use ChatGPT to write their codes in their graduation project. And this is not acceptable because the student meant to write his code by himself and try and understand the pattern of code and how to deal with errors and etc. So the university should first discuss this level of the engagement of AI within their education system. The second step, if they don't accept using AI tools at all, there's many tools that can be used to check whether the text or the content was generated by AI models or not. But in fact, there are some products or some tools that have been recently founded, and they humanize the text. So you will not be able even to recognize if this text was generated by ChatGPT or not, because they add like a human error, typos, just to make you confuse if the text is generated by ChatGPT or by a human. So it is challenging. However, we should sit together and discuss this. I mean, the mindset of accepting AI generated content should be shifted. And I believe we move on the same era when Google was founded. People were not accepting students going in Google and find the resources and ignoring going to library. But what happened today, that student ignoring going to library and use Google and everything. So that doesn't mean that we don't need library. We still need libraries. We might need libraries like in a different way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lulwa, for your comprehensive answer. Moving forward with our next speaker, Professor Ernesto Damiani is a distinguished academic with a wealth of experience in the fields of computer science and cybersecurity. He currently serves as a Dean of Computing and Mathematical Sciences and Director of the Center for Secure Cyber Physical Systems at Khalifa University. He is also a full professor at Università degli Studi at Milano and President of National Inter-University Consortium for Informatics. Professor Damiani's research expertise lies in secure service-oriented architectures, robust AI and data analytics models, and cyber-physical systems security. Professor Ernesto, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So I will focus on a specific area. So we had a very good introduction in the previous talk, and I think we can go into specific areas where, well, artificial intelligence and LLMs are revolutionizing the academic sector, and to take a look at what's going on, and also to the potential opportunities and threats that this adoption of artificial intelligence in our higher education is creating. I would like to start from the big picture, recalling a little bit the big picture. Well, at the moment, we're not looking just at artificial intelligence in general. Artificial intelligence has been with us for a very long time, both as a subject to be studied and as a tool to be used in higher education and elsewhere. It's been with us for, I would say, more than 50 years now. But what we are seeing is a revolution caused by a specific type of artificial intelligence, the large language models. So the large language models have basically this capability of being content generators, but also content assessors and content transformers. So they can sort of become pervasive in the everyday life, but also within the operational processes of the higher education institutions. So I don't want to go into the details, but I would like to recall this picture because I think it's a very interesting one. We started using algorithms in a number of situations in higher education. Then we moved on, we incorporated artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques, and I'm talking about as teaching subjects and as tools, for example, for improving the quality of the teaching. But then at the moment, we are looking at a very specific area which is having a very big impact. the large language models area. And of course, a lot of people call LLMs GPT. GPT is one technique that is used for a specific part of a language model. There are many language models which are not based on GPT. I would like to sort of go a little bit into to zoom in into this LLM square in this slide to recall a few concepts that are useful for us in discussing the use of LLMs in higher education. So traditional artificial intelligence was specializing into a small number of tasks. And if you look at any textbook in AI, it will give you a different list, but more or less the list always contains classification and regression. These are the tasks in which the traditional AI, supervisioned AI, the one that learns specializing a model based on examples, proved to be very, very successful. Think of image recognition, think of prediction of numerical values, and classification, regression. All those are traditional machine learning tasks in which a model is trained based on examples to give me an answer. These models are important, of course, in higher education, but the task that has revolutionized higher education is the task of completion. So what is a completion model? It is a model that can do a number of things. And I listed a few in red in this slide. Can predict the next symbol in a sequence, like, for example, we are typing a sequence on our smartphone, we are typing a chat message, and the model pops up with the next word for us to confirm rather than type. It can make a summary, and you can start seeing here how important this may be, both from the professor and the student point of view. It can take a text or any other content, but let's focus for text for a while. It can take a text and provide a short summary of it that will contain most of the information and even improve the information presentation of this short text. And even more importantly, it can answer a question. So now it's important to realize that the question answering that is done by these models is not really Q&A, it's completion. Meaning that the model, if you look at this picture that I have here on the right, you can see 3 sentences that are basically being the input of the model. The 3 sentences are modified to create a structure, and this is what the models do differently. For example, in the case of GPT, they create an embedding. So this is a representation which has a certain property. The list of words that is can be considered as a string is transformed into a structure in which the words are substituted by tokens. And the tokens have a semantic distance between them. So 2 strings that are very different from each other, but that belong or anyway represent the same concept, may have a very close representation in the token space. So this structure generated by the model, by GPT, for example, is one way to generate such a structure. So now the model can match this input which has been transformed, it can match it to a possible completion, which is the answer. So prompt completion, and the model has been trained to best match all the possible completions to the initial structure of the prompt. So basically, you see, this is very interesting because it tells you that the error notion, the quality of matching notion that has been used in the training is not factual truth or something that has, like in the case of classification and regression that we see up here, the traditional ones. It is the best possible completion. So the best completion may be the best in the sense that the semantic distance between the completion and the original and the input structure is minimized. Doesn't say any much about the fact that the answer or the completion is true or doesn't contain any fault. So I just wanted to make a little bit, conclude this deep dive by summarizing what I just said. The models all work with this notion of embedding or some similar notion in which I transform the input in text form into a representation that is in a different space where the distance between the words depends on their closeness in terms of semantics, of the meaning. And then I produce the best possible completion. Now, a big problem that we always had in artificial intelligence was how long is the prompt, how big is the size of the chunk of the prompt that I need to consider in order to generate the best possible completion. Well, this is was an open problem until 2017. In 2017, the famous paper, so Attention is All You Need, was published, and it is the paper that introduced the capability, how the network could be made capable of estimating the span, the attention span that it needed to have on the input text in order to compute the best completion. So now LLMs were born. They were capable for, nobody noticed in 2017, but after a few years, the OpenAI and started releasing a course of LLMs that were capable of solving with success the attention thing and generating completions that could be, of course, answers, could be summaries, could be a lot of, let's say, specialized tasks that were very, very convincing. And so this revolutionized because the word, because of course it is so tempting to use the LLM to generate output that we can actually resell to a third party. This is true for students, but it's also true for faculty, and we must face it. So now, I would like to give you an example, just for those who are listening, of course, and they are maybe education experts and not specifically AI buffs. Look at this question. What are the Scottish main rulings on affirmative action in education? This is a typical question that could be made by a legal of a university or by the president, just to know what is the US trend in the affirmative action direction. So now the model is going to take the word one by one, tokenize our input, you see it here. It will create an embedding which will represent each word with a vector, with let's call it a code, and the codes are closed when the words they come from are semantically close. So, for example, Supreme Court, spelled like this, and SCOTUS, which is an acronym, are closed in the space of the embeddings, although they were not closed in the original space of the strings. And this is done then at the second level on the sentence level embedding, and in order not to bore you, I will not go into the details, but still, you see, there is this transformation of the original input into a representation that will then be used to match or to generate, to match the best answer. It's not generating, it's actually matching the best possible completion to this input. So now, per se, this mechanism does not guarantee these three properties that are the ones that we consider fundamental. The accuracy, well, accuracy means that the answer for us, that the answer does not contain any factual error. Frankly speaking, this process does not guarantee that the answer will not contain factual errors. We all have been reading and discussing hallucinations of models. I don't want to enter into the details, but there are many mechanisms which have nothing to do with the quality of the model, which can lead to factual, counterfactual assessment or counterfactual statements in the answer generated by the model. Explainability, second thing, we are accustomed for the traditional AI to be able to give to, when the traditional AI makes an inference, it provides a classification or a regression, we can provide the model to the third party that is interested in the outcome as an explanation. And there are many ways to deriving short-term or understandable explanation from models, explainability. On the other hand, explainability of the LLM will clarify the mechanism by which the prompt has been transformed into the answer, but will not say much about the justification of the inference. Fairness. Well, this is a big problem because fairness means that I want to evaluate the bias of the model, and the pre-evaluation of bias is well known for traditional AI. Evaluation of bias for LLMs is an an open issue. So we have three key properties that are. Furthermore, we have another problem that as the educational institution is very important, that the hallucinations strongly are linked to what the model has seen in training. And when you buy or use a foundational model from a third party, you have no guarantee because the data preparation and training to train the LLM have taken place at the supplier side and not at the user side. And we are only releasing it as an inference. For example, at KU, we have KUB is an assistant based on an LLM for students that advises them to make decisions on their study plans. It's nothing to do being used for studying. It is used for assist the students in decisions about their student planning. On the other hand, it's very risky to build a foundation model that will do this type of advice without having any control over the tuning. I will come back to that. There are over its training. I will come back to that in a second. To finalize this list of threats, I would like to mention the notion that you cannot buy an LLM once for all. You need to buy a subscription because the models need to be continuously retrained. And the frequency of retraining is not something due to an error, it's due to a phenomenon, which is called concept drift. You just think of how some terms we use in higher education have been redefined in time by the regulations. So it's very important that the models, knowledge base, the one that is used in their training, can evolve to tolerate the concept drift, which is physiological. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Whenever a concept is used in a new policy, it is partly redefined. And so the best answer to a question about it or that involves it will need to change. And so you need to basically to have periodic retraining of the models. So I'm getting close to the core of this short. Let's look at it from the perspective of education, and specifically for the two moments. The students produce content, and the faculty or the instructors have to evaluate it. So these are two moments which both lend themselves to the use of LLM, and the two interested parties will use the LLM. There is no way to forbid. I will come back to that. At least this is my opinion. There is no way to forbid. You must regulate, you must embrace, you must guide. Because the attraction is too high, basically. So what is the threat landscape for allowing the use of LLM specifically for these two tasks, for the students to produce content and for the faculty to grade it or to assess it? I'm leaving aside the use of LLM on the part of the faculty to prepare exam tests, which is also another practice of big interest. But for the moment, let's focus on students answering exam questions using LLMs, which may, or you can solve this problem by simply forbidding it. But of course, that would make your students less capable of using a vital tool that they will find in their professional lives. On the other hand, there is the notion of faculty. Faculty can use the LLM to ask, provide the student essays and ask the LLM for an evaluation. And this is very dangerous. So these are threats. So I would like to especially automated grading is very, very risky. For example, especially for non-STEM. Of course, if you have, but think of a design document, and the grading or the evaluation, the assessment of the quality of design document on the part of an LLM will always be based on the document it has seen. And for example, it is well proven by research that there are biases towards people who are native speakers of English with respect to people who use English as a second language. Because the LLM is basically going to be biased with respect to certain wrong usage of words that are made by students in their documents. So I tried to give you a summary, of useful summary according to, so here we have 6 threats of that potentially can hit the LLMs that you use, would want to use for higher education. Remember that this LLM will be proposed by suppliers, and I will come back to that in a second. So I see excessive agency as the main one. Regardless of the other threats, which have to do with the quality of the model that you will use or will allow the students on the faculty to use, the most important part is to establish by policy the agency, meaning what is the limit in terms of procedures. For example, it's okay to have an LLM summarize the content of essays, but it may not be okay to have an LLM prioritizing it. So when you do the policy for the usage of LLM on the part of the faculty, you should highlight the difference between using the LLM to prepare student content for assessment in order to increase the productivity of the faculty of the instructors, which could be allowed, and the using the LLM to grade, which is absolutely, in my opinion, to be avoided. So now the limiting the agency of the LLM on the part of the faculty and of the part of the student is a responsibility of who? Of the higher education institution, in addition of the accreditation authorities. And in the UAE, we have had a lot of discussion with the CAA, with the accreditation authorities on the agency of LLMs in higher education. What should be the LLM authorized for? I don't think personally that you can solve too much just by forbidding. You need also to encourage best practices. And the best practices of usage of the LLM need also to be part of the policies. So you cannot just write a policy on the use of LLM in the higher education for the 2 fundamental tasks that I mentioned, meaning students generating content and the faculty assessing content. These 2, you need also to point both students and faculty to best practices and provide them with awareness. And one important part is the human in the loop. So for example, if you wanted to authorize usage of LLMs for producing content, then you should require always part of oral examination in which the students will need to show the mastery of the, so you can use LLM for increasing your productivity, and that's good. But then you must verify and master the content, and you need to reintroduce some oral moment of interaction between faculty. Well, faculty don't like it because, but still, you need to reintroduce the human in the loop of the assessment in order to avoid the students' blind use of LLM. LLM should be encouraged if it is a complement, if it improves the capability of the student, not if it introduces a cognitive problem. Okay, so a lot of universities are interested in trying to introduce objective checks for the limitation of the agency. As I said, what is the excessive agency of an LLM is people using the LLM beyond the scope that is authorized or encouraged by the education institution. So we want to let them use it, but we want to sort of control the scope. And a lot of universities are falling into the same mistake, in my opinion, again, it's my opinion, that individuals do, believing that they can automate agency check. Meaning I will buy, like I have Turnitin already, for example, all universities use extensively Turnitin or similar thing for plagiarism. I will create a similar Turnitin infrastructure that will check whether the students are submitting documents written by LLMs. Okay, detectors have been proposed to university, a lot of them. I'm sure that also in this event we have many discussion, but still there are areas of concerns. First of all, the best model for the best technique for preventing excessive agency on the part of LLMs is not check after the fact, but is the careful design of the assessment. So the assessment design alone can do a lot, making sure that the students cannot solve the problem just by asking an LLM. This is a major thing. Don't check afterwards only, but start by creating in faculty an assessment design mentality that will make the use of LLM as an automatic answer generator impossible. Secondly, there is the academic integrity and transparency. The students need to be, I know this is a battle that sometimes looks difficult to fight, but we need to fight it. Responsible use of LLM is in the responsibility of the students and of their families, and also faculty. And finally, policy need to be written, and at least in the UAE, we have a strong push by the regulation authorities on the higher education institutions to write it down, meaning that the agency of LLMs need to be spelled out in documents of university policy, need to be updated. Now here I have a list of tools that people have used for detecting whether sort of Turnitin for LLMs, right? So you basically try to detect whether someone, be it a student or be a faculty, is using the LLM to generate content and then delivers the content as if it was authored by himself. So the problem is that I don't have the time to go into the detail, but I would like to encourage you to take a look. This is very useful material. But again, it will show you very clearly that we are not in the position today to fully automate the LLM detection, LLM usage detection, without a policy for exam and assessment reduction on the part of the faculty. If you can detect successfully only if the questions and the requests have been prepared in order to avoid, to prevent the stupid use of LLM, while keeping the auxiliary and complementary use of LLM possible. So it is a planning approach that I recommend personally. This is a very interesting topic to discuss among colleagues, but education institutions need to have an adoption plan. As the policy on one side gives you the limit of the agency that you want to give to the LLM, the adoption plan will tell you which are the steps in which, for example, with awareness initiative, you are involving the students and the faculty in this. And it needs to be pushed by the regulators. It cannot be the dean only. It must be an overall approach promoted by the regulators at the university level, and then it percolates to the different colleges and schools. Okay, one thing that I would like to recommend, because this is the experience we had in Khalifa, is that just recommendations without training don't help too much. You can recommend people to change the way they write assessment to make it more difficult for the students to generate the answer using an LLM. Yes, you can recommend, but you need to teach. So there must be a program, and we must be ready to invest some money on the awareness. If you don't do it, it will remain on the policy will remain on paper. Also, it must be very clear to faculty that is true for them what is true for the students. LLM are here to improve what you do, not to substitute you. And this is not in your interest, but also not in the interest of the university. We don't want our exam written by LLM, graded by LLM. Otherwise, it would be a zero-sum game in which the students will learn very little. Now, I stop here. Thank you very much for having the patience to listen to me this morning. And of course, I'm available for questions or comments.
Thank you, Professor Ernesto, for your presentation and for your valuable insights. There are a group of questions in the chat box. So we have, I would like to know about the impacts of AI on the assessments of students. And there's another question is, how can we mitigate the potential risks of AI in educational assessments?
As I said, the second question is the easiest one, is the same thing that I was saying by concluding. You cannot do this by automatic verification of the content only. A lot of universities are thinking they can expand the Turnitin coverage to buy another tool and use that tool to check the student submissions a priori whether they've been done with an LLM or not. I think that this method can only work, and I published the list in my slides of the tools that promise that, but look, they only can achieve if you have rethought how the assessments are done. So stop, unfortunately, about closed questions. Stop with the quizzes ABC. Stop with that. You need to rethink the assessments to make viable the prevention of the use of LLM for the answers. This is the first thing. The second thing is, of course, I think LLM are anyway a big opportunity. So we need to prevent misuse, but doesn't mean to forbid use. The right agency, the universities that will find the right agency, meaning the right limits for the use of LLMs, are the ones that will prepare the best degree holders. Remember that the companies outside are waiting for people who know how to use LLMs, not for people who don't know because it was forbidden. So we need to find the right border between, as always, there is a compromise between right use and misuse. We need to prevent misuse while encouraging, in my opinion, and I tried to give some highlights on this must be a collective effort to talk to each other in the higher education area.
Okay, there is one more question. How does AI over-reliance affect student skills and engagement?
Very good. There has been a lot of, by the way, studies on that, and studies that also extend to verticals, so students of law, student of STEMs. But I would like to say, just to answer this question to the best of my knowledge, in general, there is a potential cognitive damage. Over-reliance on LLM will sort of prevent students from gaining. This has always been true, any support. And I remember where my professors were sort of worried that I might not know how to program if I used a generator of code. This is typical caution. So we need to avoid the cognitive damage. And this can be used, can be done specifically by having the students responsible for the final product in such a way that the LLM output needs to be mastered. I don't think we should resist the use, as I said, the use of LLMs. I like my professor was not right in insisting that I don't use a code generator. Code generators will be there. But of course, there will be a difference between someone who knows how to use it because it masters the process and someone who just pushes a button. So that is the second part is what we need to avoid. And we need to do non-curricular courses for the students and the faculty on how to use LLM in the right way. This is my
Professor, there is one more question. In assessing models, we used to compare simulated results with actual results of unmodeled. How can we assess AI-generated results?
Well, first of all, remember that there are two ways to control the quality. One way is, which is more usable for us, for the higher education, is prompt editing. So it's very important that we compare the models on prompts that have been prepared and that are a good benchmark. So this is very important. And then there is tuning, in which you modify the training of the LLM model. This will happen, but of course, most of the LLM models at the moment are given to us as models which are black box. What we can do is to do prompt editing, meaning that we can create benchmarks for the quality. So I recommend, there is an increasing interest and an increasing, let's say, attention to the creation of specialized benchmarks, because the foundation model that you buy, the company will tell you, it has been tuned with respect to ChatGPT. Fine, maybe. We were not there when it was tuned. So we need to have internal benchmarks. But these benchmarks are prompts that we created specifically to assess. For example, benchmarks for hallucination in STEMs are very important because the students may be made aware that the model may suggest counterfactuals. This is a part of the case. So we need to verify the important with the benchmarks, the quality of from the point of view of the counterfactual generation, especially in the and this can be done by specialized benchmarks, course by course even. So I am a faculty. I have the okay of my university to use LLM, for the students, to involve them in the use of LLM. I have an agency policy that tells me what the students can do and what the students can't do with LLMs, but I don't want to jump into it. I have a benchmark in which I play the role of the student and I ask specific questions related to my course. So I don't believe too much in generalized benchmarks for, and I will, with this prompt editing that I do prepare myself, I will assess the level of quality of the LLM output.
Okay, we have a last question. What about the teacher's utilization of AI in designing assessment methods? How does that affect the discussed mechanisms?
Oh, this is a very good question, because I said already that I would like to discourage the teachers to use, including myself, all the teachers, to use LLMs to generate the assessments. So automatically, it can help to prepare some background for generating assessment. For example, prepare me a data set with this and that other property. This is a good question for an LLM on the part of a teacher. Then, based on the fact that I know that I've saved a lot of time to prepare it by hand, and then I can ask questions to the students. I write the questions myself. I'm not asking the model to write the questions for me, but the model helped me anyway, because it prepared the data set, or it prepared the environment, or the diagram over which I plan my questions. Again, it's a matter of agency, you know. But the question mentioned the assessment methods. So again, assessment methods are, in my opinion, to be designed with the help of LLMs by using the LLM to prepare the background for the assessment. And the foreground for the assessment is still the human. This is we will save productivity, good quality, but we will not have stupid questions, because remember, LLM will make stupid questions. Don't let the LLM ask the question. Prepare the material over which you will write your own questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Ernesto, for your time and for your insights. Moving on to our next speaker, Dr. Chan Yoon. Dr. Chan is a researcher of cybersecurity, including the IoT, USN security, cyber physical system security, and cloud fog security and cryptographic techniques. An associate professor with Department of Computer Science and the cybersecurity leader of the Center for Cyber Physical Systems. He will be talking about AI security for education.
Without further ado, thank you very much. Previous speaker, Professor Ernesto, mentioned about the education, how the using LLM and so on. I really appreciate that, and my talk is kind of little bit different from it's more like application. In other words, how the museums, national heritage in education through the metaverse and blockchain technologies. Okay. So yeah, I skip this because you know you already mentioned my background. So I'm working with closely with the Professor Nestor, the C2PS, and therefore we collaborate in the AI in cybersecurity, AI technique for cybersecurity. This is very interesting area that we like to talk about, because AI education is important, but how are we going to apply this? I'm going to discuss about how cultural heritage, like a museum and the UAE or the Qatar or the Bahrain, anywhere in the world, that can able to apply, right? So, and there's also, there's a challenge and security threats and on how the metaverse and blockchain can be potential used for AI techniques in the education. So without further ado, and as you can see from here that the traditional method of the heritage preservation, just like in the museums, and there are physical conservation, documentation, and traditional knowledge and registration, and these are the challenges. Of course, in other words, the artifact of the national heritage can be, it's very, it's valuable, but at the same time, it can be fragile. So it can be broken, and therefore we need to protect this. And how the metaverse can apply in this, and how the artifact can be applied in the NFT environments and so on. And of course, these are the major issue. As you know, that the UAE has Meta Dubai. I think you heard about Meta Dubai. That means they want to do the field effect and like the 3D effect. Before go to Dubai and in Abu Dhabi, you can able to experience of Abu Dhabi or Dubai before come to the actual country. So you can have the 3D effect of experience using the augmented reality and virtual reality and so on through the metaverse. And that can be applied in the national heritage using AI. Like, for example, you can able to create 3D of augmented and the mixed reality of the UAE national heritage museums and so on. Okay, so how the digital transformation of heritage is metaverse. Okay, in other words, metaverse, people think that this is an upcoming area. I think I'm focusing on one of my PhD students and the postdoc working on this area. And metaverse is very important. The Facebook changed the name as a Meta now. Why they change? Because we think that the new platform like metaverse can be, who have control the platform, control the the money. They will create a lot of money creating content through metaverse. And what we are using now is 2D. 2D means you can scroll and feel and touch. However, if you go to metaverse, you can see like an avatar, like people you may saw what's called avatar. You can feel and look like as a 3D effect in avatars, and so on. We call digital twin and so on. And this is overall picture of the metaverse, and this was published the last year and end of last year, and with the IEEE communication survey tutorial, and this is 1% journal, and it was very intriguing. And why? Because this area is upcoming area, and I was thinking that this idea can apply in education, in the museum, in the using through metaverse, because it can give you multi-layer infrastructure and also advanced technology, real time, and also scalability and performance optimization. Of course, it is going to interconnected virtual world. In other words, you may see concert through metaverse. I think the currently increasing the like concert like K-pop, like BTS and Blackpink, and why they are playing in the metaverse, because people all over the world, they cannot come to physical place, but in the metaverse you can able to join the concert without any problem, and it doesn't matter where you are. You can able to join it, and you can interact with the audience at the same time. You can look and feel like of the 3D effect of virtual reality and augmented reality, and this is overall picture of that, and how the physical world meet digital world and through metaverse. And I have to thought about once you have a goggle like that you saw previously, and in this goggle, and you can create, that my name is Dr. Chan, and I can create my metaverse in the digital twin inside the metaverse. So in that environment, and I can even teach. In the future, you can use metaverse into education. Why? Because you can, I'm Dr. Chan, I can create my avatar in this class. At the same time, student can able to join and create an avatar. Like recently, due to the COVID-19, and we become online everywhere. And because of that, not only, even this conference is online. So in other words, you can create even metaverse into when you have a goggle in the become a 3D effect, and you can able to feel and like with the environment, with the people. Okay, so that's why it is increasing area, but at the same time we need to protect this security. Why? Because how do I know, that the metaverse I created, it claim this is Dr. Chan as avatar? How do you know that this is really me of the thing? So we create the goggle that giving you authentication, like a real-time authentication, like using the ECG, our heartbeat in here, and also same time they can see our eyes. They can check the iris in these devices. So they can have iris, they can have the ECG in here, and also same time the brainwave EEG, so that you can able to detect the one person in detail and things like that. And next, you can see how the artificial intelligence and the avatar creation through that, and of course, as I mentioned, large language model, NLPs, and ChatGPT. All this can be 3D effect in the metaverse, and digital twin can be, one of the good role for that. And at the same time, and blockchain and NFT is non-fungible token are very useful for become an asset. When you create asset like a picture, then you can able to use that as NFT. In other words, my teaching material can be NFT, so that this the intellectual property can be very useful for it belong to me. So you can give your ownership. Whoever using my material, my presentation will be NFT. Then they need to trace back, and they may need to pay for all these services. So we need to do that. And of course, as I mentioned, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality can be applied in the metaverse world, and they're very useful. Okay, of course, there are haptic and human experience, and user experience very important, because nobody wants difficult system. Ease of use is seamless, continuous education through the national heritage, like a museum cases and so on. So this is the kind of the device that we're working on. And now currently I'm working with in Korea, KAIST, and other Wongang University in Korea, the medical school. We are discussing to develop this goggle. They are having the ECG and EEG and the iris in order to authenticate me when you become projected in the metaverse, in the digital twin, in the metaverse environment. So this is the thing that currently people are doing at the moment. Okay, as I mentioned, Meta Dubai, Meta Abu Dhabi, and Meta Khalifa University can be done to create this kind of environment. Okay, I'm going to video clip, but you may not hear it. Thanks God, there is subtitles. As you can see from this device, that what we have done in the past, and what we are doing or currently developing in the goggle in conjunction with the KAIST in Korea and the Wongang University Medical School there to create this. Because why Wongang University? Because the medical school, they are interested in psychological stress, because the brain activities sometimes give you, of course, it's health related, heartbeat also health related, but the brain wave also is very intriguing, and we are working with them at the moment. And why, once you develop it, and once you have this kind of goal, we can have further, for example, further research and so on. But however, this is theory, but it can be applied in the system. And as you can see from the digital transformation of cultural heritage museums, and you can able to become a 3D effect. Normally you see the picture before you go to the museum. Museum can create a 3D collection, and it's just like Meta Khalifa University, you can create and look like with people you go there, and then you can able to wrap. In the future education, we have the virtual class or the first class with the digital twin. So now the student become digital, like the twin of each student, each individual student, and also the instructor also become in us who can discuss and meet together, just like this on conference, as you can see in the future. Okay, and of course, people like games. I think I'd like to mention that the game is very useful, and senior design project at Khalifa University, several of them they apply virtual reality, augmented reality for the gaming. Okay, so in other words, education with gaming is very important. And I saw one of the senior design project. We can apply for example, some useful game into the theory of the heritage in the museum. They give when they go through the museum cases and they show the artifact, and they can tell what is this, what is that, and things like that to interact with the student. I think people like Pokemon game. I think some people in Korea or Japan, they maybe over here, all over the world, they like this game and they interact. They can do that into the things in the future, in the game scenarios. Just like museum education can be the metaverse digital heritage. You can host virtual museum, interactive cultural experience, emergence storytelling, interactive learning, of course, or using games, and also the digital twin and the hologram virtual tourism, as I mentioned, the Meta Dubai, Meta Abu Dhabi, or Meta Khalifa, Khalifa University, and you can have like a tourism based on this. And you can use that as a part of before you go to there, and you can have to do that, I think. So you can apply the Bahrain or all over the world in the Kingdom of Bahrain, and they can use the Heritage Museum as part of games through the metaverse and using digital twins. Right. Advantage of cultural heritage digitization is global access. That anybody can access all over the world. In Bahrain, people doesn't know about the Bahrain heritage. You can able to create this content. Content is a king. Why the Meta, like Facebook, they changed the name? They think is a money there. Okay, enhanced accessibility and global access to physical constraint. This is the thing. And preservation again, physical relation, because when you touch some kind of artifact, it's very fragile and original. You want to wear and tear. You want to protect that. And also education and research, interact experience, of course, emergence of the virtual reality augmented application, and of course it has economical benefit. Virtual tour, and when people saw Kingdom of Bahrain before they come through metaverse, I've been here through the meta. Why don't we go there? And things like that can be possible, right? So, and what are the changes and threats? Of course, digital decay, of course, risk of data and corruption without ongoing maintenance. This is another issue. You need to maintain, you need to update the program, gaming, and all this. Unauthorized access and privacy. That's why I'm developing this goggle with the KAIST and the Wangang University to prevent unauthorized access and privacy. And what do you want using a biometric, using AI? I think you saw the previous video I showed you. We're using AI technique for using the machine learning and deep learning to detect emotion of the people. Yeah, and also can use that for the fitness spot. The person is fit to work or not, and then so on. You brainwave and writing or rotation. Data loss and authorized integration, of course. Intellectual property and ethical concern. I think AI has a lot of concern on the ethical issues, and we want to protect that. And especially intellectual property, like when you do NFT of the certain artifact or the certain thing, and it become intellectual property. So the NFT is a big deal. At the end of the day, the blockchain and NFT kind of design application can be useful through buy and sell, through applications, through NFT, in the metaverse environment. Okay, so blockchain and non-fungible token protecting cultural asset, which I'm just about to tell you that I don't have to mention blockchain. I think you already know, but blockchain is like simply hash chain. Hash function is been here for long time, but they want to change the fancy name. They change the name called blockchain, but it's the same thing. In the that AI was that was there for 50 years, but now it's happening because due to computational time, computational efficiency, and also the memory chip, just like that. Blockchain was a hash chain, and they changed the fancy name in order to come up with the new, as if it's something new, but it's a hash chain, and that's because hash function is very useful, provide the integrity and priority of the key method like immutability, distributed, of course, proof of work, smart contract, and so on. Okay, so non-fungible token. Why non-fungible token is useful? NFT is part of the blockchain, and digital token, like intellectual property, the picture can be able to convert to NFT. And also, our idea, any artifact or any creation can like I create a document, NFT, create document as NFT, so that anybody using my my question or my property, they can pay for it, and in the future there might be useful for that. And as I mentioned, it become yours, ownership, unique, rarity, transparent, interoperability is useful for NFT. So why protecting cultural data, authentication, and provenance? In order to ensure originality, trace ownership, and monetization, of course, it makes it because this artifact can be generated fund for the and right management, intellectual right management and control distribution. NFT can force use of right, ensuring this cultural content is used appropriately, and so on. And K-pop and become PK concern NFT become part of using a non-fungible token, so that whoever have this attend the concert, and they can able to purchase through the ticket using NFTs and so on. So this can be very useful in the future, and as if it's a little bit futuristic, but it's wrong. Internet was there, now 2D to 3D. Now, why they want to go to metaverse? Because 3D effect for that. Okay, and future research. I'm going to conclude in a minute, and the future research as follows. And these are the research opportunity, because I don't have all the solution. This is a new area. People are going into that, and advance of virtual reality, augmented reality is of course ongoing improvement. Enhancing virtual cultural experience in education is important, in my opinion, and blockchain innovation can be there, and of course it is the useful for NFT is sustainability in the education. AI integration can be applied into that, and as Professor Nelson mentioned several times about that, and we are not against it. We need to evaluate it correctly in order to whether the student uses and like for example the instructor use can be utilized well. In other words, enhance interoperability as well, and also it require partnership with the cultural institution, like with the government in education, it will be needed into like engaging museums, cultural center, government bodies support fund digital probation initiative as well. So in conclusion, the metaverse and blockchain hold a significant potential for preservation and protection of cultural data in the heritage in AI education. And in conclusion, that this can be very useful for the future, and 3D internet is coming, and whether we like it or not, and we have to utilize it very well. And digital heritage asset can be prone to emerging threat and security issue in education. That's why we need to have a protective goggle that we need to authenticate properly and use NFT to use it wisely into the security and ownership in the AI education. Okay, these are the references that you like to have a look and ongoing, and thank you very much indeed. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Chan. There are some questions in the chat. One of them is, how can we engage the metaverse with the engineering labs, such as in design electronic circuits and others?
Okay, design electronic circuit and others. Very good, very interesting question. And actually, this is the early stage of the area. I haven't done it myself, so I cannot tell you that whether how going to apply. But as you know, in my opinion, you can, like, for example, first of all, the step by step, you have to authenticate first, like me, like Dr. Chan, as part of the digital twin in the metaverse environment in the class, and also student can become digitized and digital twin in the that's the first thing you have to do. And the second, you have to have some kind of lab environment. So in other words, you have to create the lab. In other words, currently we have I haven't done it. Okay, the metaverse lab in order to construct to do that. So I cannot tell you. That can be that could be ongoing research, and I don't have an answer at the moment. But we need to develop it, just like the Meta Dubai, Meta Abu Dhabi, Meta Khalifa University. You need to have environment set, and after that, you have to create the lab, special lab for that, and then you can able to use it as a tool. But until you didn't create all this lab and the tools, then you cannot do it. I hope that I could answer that question. Thank you.
Okay, there is one more question. To what
Yeah.
extent can the reliability of metaverse and blockchain be evaluated as potential solutions?
Right. For example, I just explained to you about the museums. I think in the museum case, in educate, people like to visit. Why we have heritage museum? Reason is people want to go there and understand our heritage, or the understanding the artifact and what is the well-being of the maybe Kingdom of Bahrain and things like that. So in order to do that, you need to have an education system embedded. So a museum can be very useful tool, and if one could develop, but like maybe Meta Dubai, they develop in the Dubai city, but let's create something like something you can do. Khalifa University Metaverse, that's the first thing you have to do. But in order to do that, it takes time and effort, because creating the environment is not that simple. Okay, so in other words, I think AI museum, like using the Kingdom of Bahrain, the Heritage Museum, can be one of the projects. It'll take time and effort to create this project. I think you have to start one. Once you complete it, and then you can develop it similarly. First thing is difficult. Always first, when you do the first time, you're the pioneer for the first time. It'll take time and effort. Once you've done that, you can able to do further and further, much easier, because you have done it before. But currently, I cannot tell you that the Kingdom of Bahrain, you haven't done it. Okay, or at the moment, Khalifa University using a metaverse to create that. At the moment, it's a thinking stage. Okay, so I cannot tell you that how the application could be. I think I'm giving you an idea here, like a white paper, so that people can understand that you can utilize this in further. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Chan, will the future
Yes.
future of cybersecurity attacks and defense be prompted by artificial intelligence?
Yes, actually, I am doing one of the projects like the data poisoning. Data is a king. I always tell my students that garbage in, garbage out. If you train with the wrong data, then you will not get the right prediction. So in other words, the hacker and attackers, they what they do, they poison the data in such a way so that mislead and able to the misclassification. Whereas at Khalifa, we have a PALM project which we have done with actually Ernesto is part of the co-PI with us. And well, I'm telling you that this project it was completed, but I'm telling you, it was very useful. Why? Because we can heal the data. Like, for example, somebody attacked the system. Like, with the poison the data. What we will detect it, not only detect it, we can able to heal such a way that the misprediction can be avoided in such a way. Okay.
Okay, there is one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
How can we overcome practical skills issues for laboratory analysis and design experiences using AR?
Regarding my point of view using metaverse, I think I repeat myself. I think you have to create the environment step by step with first of all authenticate and digital twins, and after that you create the lab environment according to what you want to create. Okay, once you set it, after that you can interact with this tool with the instructor at the same time with the student, and that will take time to develop this. In other words, you don't develop it, you cannot do it. So in other words, it will take time. I know it is take time, but once you develop it, important thing is you can utilize this. Okay, and similar lab can be created. As I told you from the beginning, the first one is the creating one is difficult. Once you've done that, you can create the similar stuff. I think I already tell you that in the previous answers. Okay.
There is also one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
What about interoperability of metaverse? Many worlds are existing now and they are monopolized by capitalists.
That is $1 million question. I don't know the answer. Why? Because big boys are fighting among each other. In other words, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they want to control the market. In other words, they want to, even Apple and also, Tesla, they also, they want a piece of pie. Okay. And because of that, they want to use mine. And in my opinion, in the interoperability, it will be de facto. In other words, whoever control the market, who have more market share, will have the pies, in my opinion. I cannot tell you one will win to the other unless they will meet each other, become standardization. Okay, I think it's standardization in the metaverse is important, in my opinion. Why? Because everybody wants a piece of pie. Let's standardize. Problem is, big boys, they want to impose their own, their technology, and because of that, they have some common part, but they fight among each other. In other words, interoperability will be difficult, but it could be easily solved. Remember that long time ago, we using the GSM and the CDMA and the things like that. And the GSM won the battle, later become 3D, 3GPP and so on. So it depends on the standardization. We have control the technology, control the market. So in my opinion, I don't have the answer for that, but in my opinion, it will be regarding interoperability. Is we have more de facto standard, so we'll control the market. Thank you.
Dr. Chan, thank you so much for your time and your insights. Moving on, Dr. Amna Shahi, an assistant professor at Khalifa University, who has developed several machine learning and artificial intelligence courses for both undergraduate and graduate students. With a background that includes teaching at MIT and 5 years at Khalifa University, she effectively incorporates her specialized research in artificial intelligence and machine learning within medical contexts. This integration enhances the academic offerings with practical applications of cutting-edge technology. She will be talking about opportunities and challenges of generative AI in higher education. Please go ahead, Dr. Amna.
First of all, thank you so much for this invitation to talk on AI and higher education. So as we mentioned, my talk will be about opportunities and challenges of generative AI in higher education. So in this talk, I will try to cover the same terminology or word that exists in my talk title. So we will start with higher education. Then I will talk about generative AI, opportunities, and challenges. So let's start with higher education. So as everyone knows, the main objective of higher education is having a student that enroll in those higher education system to get a graduate certificate. Okay, and within this, the process for the student to move from being a student toward a certified on a specific subject, there are different steps. and different learning environment and teaching, research, and training, a part of making assuring like we are meeting the Institute Quality of Assurance. This is a general overview of the standard that we all, as all higher education, are trying to meet. So from other perspective, that means we have an instructors that try to design a fair and honest assessment for our students who should fairly and honestly demonstrate learning based on those assessments that are provided by the instructor. And then the instructor will try to honestly evaluate those student learning to make sure like those students master the course topic or subject. For by the end of the day, they will receive the certificate by the whole institute. And they become a certified students with the required knowledge and ability to carry forward in their career or job development. Now I want to talk briefly about generative AI. So actually, generative AI becomes so common and popular topic nowadays. And it's actually back to the ChatGPT when it's first launched in November 2022. So everyone knows ChatGPTs. If we look at some statistic about ChatGPTs and the number of visitors to ChatGPT website, we can notice there is a huge increase in the number of visits. So by April 2024, there are 1.8 billion visitors. If we look at the age group, the age distribution, and the gender of those visitors to ChatGPT, we notice like in terms of gender, we have almost equals between the two gender, females and males, where males like 55.99% of all visitors are males, while the rest are females. And the interesting part is looking at the age distribution. So most of the visitors to ChatGPT are from 25 to 34 years old participants. From 18 to 24, it will become the second most visitors. And if you notice, like this age range are actually students who enroll in institute. So now I want to give you an introduction, what we mean by generative AI. So we all know artificial intelligence is the biggest umbrella in which we try to create a smart system that can mimic a human capability of solving a problem. Then we have machine learning, which is the ability to train an algorithm to learn from the data. Within it, we have deep learning, which is a neural network-based architecture. And within deep learning, we have generative AI. But if we try to understand where exactly ChatGPT fit in the whole scenario here, it's actually here. So first, the overall or the big umbrella is actually in this scenario is generative AI. Within it, we have foundation models. Then we have large language model, and then ChatGPT. So, but before we try to go and discuss more about those generative model, other than not only ChatGPT, other type of generative model, we need first to understand what we mean by large language model and how those models are trained or what kind of large language model that exists. So if we talk first about large language model architecture. So for large language model, actually, we don't have a single architecture. We have different architecture. And all those large language model, for sure, nowadays, most of them are based on a transformer-based architecture, and we have different representation. Like we have encoder-only based architecture, decoder-only based architecture, and encoder-decoder models. And for sure, each one of them have its serve a specific objective or for specific purpose. What about the data? So if you notice the title, it's large language model. So the meaning of large, that means those neural networks are really have a lot of parameters to train them. But when we try to train a large language model or a big neural network, we need a huge amount of data. So from where those data had been came to train those big, large language model. So actually, most of those large language models had been trained on box content, articles, websites information, social media posts, and Wikipedia. So the publicly available data set had been used to train those large language models. Training. So a training is actually, we mean by what exactly the purpose of large language model. For example, when we train any large language model, for sure we have a specific objective that we try to meet. So we can build a large language model that focus on text summarization, or for a large language model that's specialized for image generation. And there are other, like ChatGPT, it's a large language model for text generation. For sure, there are several large language models now are multitask in this perspective. So if we try to summarize large language model, we will start to realize we don't have only one or two large language model. We have many large language model that vary in terms of what data set that had been used to train those models, what architecture that those models are consist of, and what's the objective of training those models? Is it for image generation or text generation? What's specialization of this large language model? And here, for example, some other example of large language model. ChatGPT is well known. Gemini, Llama 3, Claude. Each of those large language models had been trained on a huge data set. And each one actually belonged to one of the big companies, like Grok for Twitter, Llama for Meta, and many more. So when we look at generative model and the capability of those large language model, actually we can notice those models can create a huge change and shift and transformative impact on education sector, along with the other sectors. So now if we talk about generative AI in higher education and perspective of tool, do we have a specific large language model or generative model that dedicated toward academia? Before that, we know, all of us know, like when we have COVID-19, it has like a huge impact on the education system in which we move from face-to-face education to online education. And for sure, there are several challenges that the student face, the institute and faculty change during this period. And actually, generative model now again consider like a new disturbance to the education system. So where those two components are met in terms of higher education system and generative model. So actually, those in higher education, large language model can use for different aspects, like for scientific database search, or for language translators, personalized tutoring, paraphrasing tool, AI detector, a part of many other applications. And there are several generative models that had been already implemented, and it's out there that focusing on education. So we have, for example, here a specific generative AI model that focus on writing, enhance the writing, like Grammarly, Quillbot, Jasper, Paperball. All those tools are specialized toward enhancing the writing, and they are really commonly available nowadays outside. Some of them for free, some of not. We have to pay for them. If we focus on in terms of research, for sure, there are other like Notebook LM, Let Maps, and many others, like tools that had been like supported actually by generative or large language model, but they made the focus toward enhancing research or writing literature review or anything related to research. Coding. So again, similar to other tools, there are a specialized tool that's supported also by large language model toward doing coding, like GPT, Copilot, Tabinon, and many others. And the interesting part are the AI detector method. So a part of AI-generated content tool, there are actually another AI detector tool that actually also powered by large language model. And the interesting part, there are other type of large language model that try to actually make the content more humanized, that make human people or any other detector method to overcome the fact that this model had been written by AI model. So as you can see, we cannot actually ban large language model or generative AI model from higher education system. And unfortunately, also, it's important to know that even existing parallelism tool cannot detect AI-generated content because of many other aspects. And as you can see, there are other tools that had been used to mask any large language model generated content. And there are another tool like existing tool that available for students like Grammarly, Google Docs, and Microsoft Word that all now supported by large language model. It's important also to know that some of the major academic publishers now allow the author to use content generated by AI, but they need to acknowledge in the acknowledgement that those tools had been used for enhancing the writing, not exactly to generate the content or generate the content of the paper, just as toward enhancing, and the user can just acknowledge it in the acknowledgement section. So let's talk now about the opportunity. What exactly those large language models can bring to the education system? Actually, large language model can have a huge and positive impact toward education system and to meet the requirement of for student to get a certified application for specific subject and toward their success. So if we look at it from different aspects, from learning perspective, from teacher perspective, and from institute perspective. Let's start from learner. So generative model actually can create some kind of personalized learning, which can enhance actually the deep knowledge of the specific subject based on the student background and knowledge. And a part of that, it can reduce also workload for educator. What that mean? So first, if you talk about offloading skill not being assessed, what that mean? So when we set any curriculum or when we have any course, we always have the intended learning outcome that we try to make sure the student meet those intended learning outcome by the end of the semester, right? But some of the knowledge, we need to make sure the student know how to do it, some of repetitive tasks. But those repetitive tasks, maybe they are not a major assessment for a specific course, like writing. Writing is important. Writing reports important for any courses. But the writing component is really important for English or literature courses, not for mathematics course. So that's why those kind of non-major component for assessment for course, it can, ChatGPT or generative model can help the student to do that. Instant feedback. ChatGPT can provide a feedback for student learning. So if a student tries to learn a new subject, he can interact with ChatGPT to receive a feedback about his learning process. Mastery-based assessment. So as you know, whenever we have any course, for sure we have different students with different background, with different level. So some students maybe need to dig deeper on the background to understand the subject. Some know they already have a good background to master the subject. So AI can provide the student with some kind of tutoring or extra material or help for them to build the background that is needed to master the content of the course. Individualized assessments, again, each student have their strengths and weaknesses. So ChatGPT or large language model can provide a personalized aspect toward learning of those or success of those students in their courses. Study buddies, again, ChatGPT can provide like several exercises for the student. He can interact. If he didn't understand anything, he can ask ChatGPT, which can direct him to external resources, or it can explain the concept in different aspect or easier aspect. And finally, 24/7 tutoring. So ChatGPT is available 24 hours. Not only ChatGPT, any generative model. It's not like similar to the lecturer or the faculty who have like specific working hours. So ChatGPT can provide a tutoring, or a generative model can provide a tutoring 24/7 basis. If we look at the opportunity of those large language models for a teacher, there are actually several opportunities in terms of enhancing the course content or the assessment, or how they can monitoring the performance of the student in the course. And here we can notice like ChatGPT can help the faculty to redesign their course curriculum by integrating the new development. So we notice like the tech development is really in a fast pace, and we need to adapt to those changes in our curriculum or in our courses. So that's why integrating ChatGPT or generative model to help on redesigning those content will be really beneficial for the student also. Rubric creation, again, whenever we are designing a rubric, we need to make sure we are aligning with the program intended learning outcome. So that's why ChatGPT can help toward creating a rubric that align with the program outcome. Question generation. ChatGPT can generate a lot of questions. And those questions we can give them for student for doing exercise or during the class. So we can address the problem or using ChatGPT represent the question in different perspective that give us or give the student opportunity to exercise more on a specific topic. Class activity generators, we can also include ask ChatGPT to propose different activity or scenarios where we can engage the student more in the teaching learning perspective. Assessment revision, again, nowadays we know we cannot use a simple way of assessing the student. And for sure, we cannot use ChatGPT to create assessment because for sure the student can discover that easily. So we can use ChatGPT in the other perspective to evaluate the quality of the assessment. The assessment that the faculty plan to do, or can ask ChatGPT to give an idea of potential assessment for a specific topic. Now, if we look at the institute level, what exactly ChatGPT or those generative model can add to the institute level, knowing that whenever there's a new technology, the institute need to start to adapt to those new technologies that out there. So first, we can for sure use those generative models to start to consider if those programs is aligned with the university or university intended learning outcome. Again, we can use a generative model or AI generative model to offer 24 support assistant for the student about the curriculum, about the system service, the university service, or any information or required or any question that related to the procedure or rubric of the university as a whole. I'm not talking about a specific topic, a specific class. A part of that, we can integrate interactive textbook. So instead of using normal old or printed books, we can integrate use interactive textbook in which generative model in which the student can interact with this interactive textbook to get more information about specific topics, searching the book for specific content, allocating where exactly the information about this title exists, and track student learning progress. So since it's an institute level, so they have all the student record from when they enter the university until they graduate. So they can train the AI model or generative AI model to track the performance and monitor the progress of the student and notice what exactly the weakness of those students, where we can help them to enhance their performance. And at Khalifa University, we have KUBs. KUBs is actually an intelligent chatbot assistant tool that help the student, not only the student, the staff, the faculty to interact with the chatbots to get more information about Khalifa education system, and it can provide a comprehensive knowledge about Khalifa rules, about academic program, admission process, or campus service. It can be personalized because it will have access to some user profiles, so it can personalize those information. Again, those tools also integrate in Microsoft Teams, so the student can easily interact with it as a chatbot to discuss with, and it's available 24/7 hour. For sure, the interesting part, the student also can give Khalifa University an impact or evaluate the answer of the chatbot to enhance its performance over time. So what exactly the challenges that exist in those by adopting generative model on higher education system? So actually there are different challenges ranging from data privacy or the bias of the content that generated by those generative model, and finally academic integrity. So if you look at the challenge based on the generative model from the tool itself, hallucination. That means the model can generate a wrong information or misleading information. Okay, so we need to be really careful. We need to critique any output that we take from ChatGPT or generative model, because always there is an issues based on the data or how those model had been trained. An honest assessment, undermined honest assessment. This is a major issue, and with the student will, for example, we ask the student to solve a specific problem, and he used ChatGPT to generate the answer for this problem. So here we will not be able to evaluate the student learning outcome, because they use generative model to generate the answers, and unfortunately they will say they are the one who reported those outcomes. Environmental costs, it's another issues, because training those model actually it need a huge amount of energy. So we don't feel it, but large companies like Google, Microsoft are the one who train those model, and they know like training those model need a high performance computing, which need a huge amount of energy. Copyright issues. Those generative model can generate material that mimic a copyrighted materials, because again, those large model had been trained on publicly available data or from the web. So that's why a copyright issue it become a major things here for adopting generative AI on higher education. If we talk about what are the challenges in terms of higher education, first of all, lack of training, support, and time for faculty to adopt or to be trained on how truly they can utilize large language model on their academic and their assessment. Lack of focus on degree integrity. So nowadays, a lot of students, for example, submit their assignment based on generated content from large language model. So how we can give those students a certification indicating that they truly master a system or the subject if most of the content that they, or how they assist or how they answer the assessment was based on generative model. So this issue can create some kind of distrust or disvalue to the institute capability to produce a really qualified student that really certified for specific subject that they are enrolled in. And a part of that, there are actually a lack or segment or absent of critical thinking by introducing a course that talk about the integration, the awareness of the new technology and the ethical consideration and issue that align with the new technology, because we don't have those kind of courses that dedicated for example, faculty, student in the institute. Now I will talk, finally I will talk about a framework for AI literacy, which is, the idea is building a framework of a higher education system where the aim of this curriculum is actually educate the student, faculty, and administration about the knowledge, the skills of how they can deal with those large language models, because we cannot ignore them, we cannot ban them, we need to adopt them. But by having a framework where we teach them about those models and a part of identifying also the risk that can raise from those large language models, it's really important now to be integrated in any higher education system. And one of the examples that Barnard College had developed actually an AI literacy framework, which also adopted from University of Hong Kong and Hong Kong University of Science and Technology framework. So this framework actually based on a Bloom taxonomy, in which they move from lower order critical thinking toward higher order critical thinking. And this framework consists of 4 components. First, understanding AI, then use and apply AI, analyze and evaluate AI, and finally create AI. And what that means. So on the first level, understand AI, it's really important for any member on education system to understand the basic concept of AI in terms of the concept. What do you mean by machine learning? What do you mean by artificial intelligence, large language model, neural network? And the interesting part for those framework, they provide like some of the reflection question on how we can meet this stage. Like, what type of AI is this? What technology does this AI tool utilize? To make sure at the end of the day, all the people on the institute, in terms of faculty, student, and the administrator, understand the meaning of AI. The second level is actually use and apply AI. So it's really easy for us now to use ChatGPT. Everyone just writes something and ChatGPT will give us an outcome. But it's really important to note, like, we have what we call a domain of prompt engineering. A prompt engineer is a domain focused on how we can feed the right information to large language model to get the right outcome that we want. So there are several courses out there to teach about how we can do prompt engineering. And it's really important to help to extract the most useful information from large language model and successfully apply them in terms of on the education system. The third aspect, which is analyze and evaluate AI systems. So as I mentioned, AI model had been, or large language model had been trained on publicly available data. And those publicly available data, for sure, there will be a bias, there will be an ethical consideration, there will be copyright issues. So whenever we got those outcomes from large language, how we can evaluate the content in terms of the bias or in terms of the copyright, and how we can detect if there is a misleading information that reported by large language model. Finally, creating AI, which is the highest level in this AI literacy, in which, okay, so we have those large language model. Can we build a new system from those large language model? Similar to the tool that exists for education system. It's underneath them, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini or any of large language model, but they had been directed towards specific tasks. So can we do that? Can we build a new system from those existing one? And or can we build a novel AI model from those? So even though those AI literacy framework they are not comprehensive framework, but at least they give the whole system a general idea about what they are facing and to help them to know how to interact with those systems in more efficient and ethical way, in which we make sure the student will learn and success on mastering the subject of their certification, and the teacher to integrate in the right way and avoiding any dishonesty in the system. So in conclusion, integrating AI in education is something that we need to consider. We can't ban it, but we need to find a way to impose some kind of policies or practice to help to integrate it in a way that we don't harm the success of the student and the certification that they will get. And the AI as the education tool actually cannot enhance education. It can make sure, like, with the personalized learning and fostering critical thinking, it will be really enhance the student success. For sure, we need to keep in our mind always that the limitation of AI, like the misleading information or wrong information that generated by AI models. So we shouldn't trust always the outcome from those AI models. We need to always critique whatever we receive from AI model. Also, as I mentioned, those models had been trained on publicly available data. So we need to be really careful about harmful bias towards specific gender or races or generating any violence content. For sure, academic integrity is a huge challenge by integrating those and models. Algorithm tool and unfortunately, current algorithm tool cannot truly detect AI. Like when I did that, give me 20% like the content had been generated by AI, which actually I know by matter of fact it's not, because when we read an article that written by AI, it's easy to detect like it's AI generated. But if we use automated tool, sometimes it can mislead it, especially there are a tool that help to mask that it's an AI generated content. And it's important to, for acknowledgement, it's important to realize that most of the image that generated in this presentation is actually generated by ChatGPT. It's double A. And thank you so much for your listening. If you have any questions, I'm still here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amna. There is one question. Does Khalifa University have a policy addressing the use of AI in generating or completing assessments?
For me, like if I talk about myself, I usually, whenever students submit anything to me, because I am ChatGPT user also, I use those generative AI model a lot because always my studies or I teach courses in machine learning AI. It's easy actually for me as a faculty to detect if the student use ChatGPT or generative models to generate content, especially like you will notice like the answer of students almost have the same trends, same style. But Khalifa, I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Thank you so much. There is one more question. Just wanted to know if Turnitin application could detect AI.
Okay, so if you notice in Turnitin, there is an AI detector and it give you like a percentage. And most of the time, nowadays when I notice it's always give me 20%, that because I always use those kind of Turnitin tool to detect if the student use ChatGPT to write or generative AI to write the report. And actually even though there are an AI detector tool, which most of the time I'm telling you it will give you 20% or less, they are actually not accurate. Because those models actually detect a pattern in the input data. And now with the existing model that can manipulate what exactly those generative, how AI models or how AI detector methods are working, they make some changes in the text to mislead those AI detectors. So Turnitin have one, but it's useless, to be honest.
There is one more question. In the future, in your opinion, will we require more GPU processing for generative AI and as a result, more energy consumptions?
So as Prof. Ernesto mentioned, we are in inference spaces. It's not like we are training the model from scratch. The model actually exists, but we are end user, we are using them. So that's why we will not need that huge processing power unless we are trying to fine-tune those models for a specific purposes. And if we try to fine-tune them, yes, we will need a high performance computing, and for sure there will be a lot of CO2 consumption. And actually, even now with, for example, I do a lot of coding in Python, so there are specialized package also in Python that will help you to quantify the CO2 emission that generated by retraining those large language model or any machine learning or deep learning model in this aspect.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amna. Oh, I think there is one more question. What do you say to researchers who are hesitant to use ChatGPT to help them turn their own PhD thesis into papers by just rewriting them?
Okay, so for me, in terms of research, first of all, we need to see the journal policy. There are journals don't allow any AI generated content. However, there are other journals that say you need to put, they are agreed, like we can use AI generated content to enhance only the writing, and we need to write it in the acknowledgement. So the first step, we need to confirm like the journal will allow using AI in terms on enhancing the writing. Then we can, if the journal that we are targeting allowed it, we can use AI to enhance the writing, because at the end of the day, we will write it in the acknowledgement. It's not something we will do it in the hidden. And it's aligned with the journal policies. It's not like we are breaking any policies here.
There is one more question that is related to the second one about the Turnitin. Why is Turnitin assessment useless? Can you elaborate, please?
I noticed like for AI generated content, we have a specific pattern. Always like the generative model always use exact word. There are specific words that always generative model are using it. So if we try to mask those words, any AI detector will not be able to detect like this content had been generated by AI. So interestingly, apparently the students start to find those undetectable AI tools that help them to mask the AI generated content to make sure like any AI tool will not be able to detect them. And for Turnitin, Tenet, and I used it, and I realized, yes, unfortunately, it cannot detect any AI-generated content. No, last year it was be able to, but this year I realized it didn't. So I think like maybe the student becomes smarter in terms of masking, like this is a content that had been generated by AI content.
Dr. Amna Shahi, thank you very much for your insights and for your time. Moving forward for our final speaker, Dr. Anthony Choppa. He is a postdoctoral researcher and lecturer at the University of Liège in Belgium. He was also a visiting researcher at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. His research interests are in the fields of computer vision, video analysis using AI, sports, video analysis, real-time processing, and video understanding. He is also a co-organizer of the CV Sports Workshop at the CVPR Conference and the International SoccerNet Challenges. He will be talking about AI for sports for education. Dr. Anthony, your floor is yours.
Thank you very much. All right. So good morning or afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to Her Highness Dr. Diana and Dr. Jassim for the invitation. It's truly an honor to be invited to present at this conference. So thank you very much. So my name is Anthony Choppa. I'm a postdoc researcher at the University of Liège in Belgium. And today I'm happy to share some insights on AI for sports education. So over the next 30 minutes, we'll explore together how we decided to approach AI education and how then AI can be used in sports education. So let's get started with the agenda. So what are we going to see today? Well, we'll explore AI's role in sports education from two angles. First, we'll discuss how we can effectively train AI data analysts, and especially with a focus on the field of sports understanding, because this is our expertise. But actually, these findings can be applied for any other topic, because we know that AI is becoming more predominant and it is used in many fields like medicine, physiology, psychology, and so on. So everything can be translated. And I'll introduce that through three pillars of education strategy that we use in our lab and university, especially with our engineer and computer science students, that focuses on three key aspects. So data, methodology, and evaluation. And second, we will look at how AI developed by those engineers, data analysts, or any other person using AI can be used to support education of sports professionals, so like athletes or referees, for instance. And I'll share with you some practical examples and use cases that show how AI is currently transforming the training, the performance, and also decision-making in sports. But first, let me give a quick introduction about myself. So I'm a postdoc researcher at the University of Liège in Belgium, and my research focuses on developing new artificial intelligence tools in areas like sports video understanding, with a particular focus on semantic analysis. So this means automatically understanding what is happening in sports videos, but with AI instead of our human brains. And I'm also involved in research on human activity understanding, where I developed advanced deep learning techniques to train video neural networks, leverage AI to understand long videos, and try to merge vision and language. And on the education side, I have also around 10 years of experience. So first as a teaching assistant, and now as a lecturer at the university. And I try to integrate my research insights into my teaching to create a new approach to AI education. So before we jump into the three-pillar education strategy, let me give you just a bit of background and motivation on why we developed this education strategy based on common AI frameworks, and also why sports video understanding is an important research and industrial topic. So, as you know, AI has recently transformed a lot of fields, and this includes, of course, sports video understanding. So let me give you a few examples. For instance, for scouting new players. Now AI is able to analyze the performance of players around the world for entire seasons, highlighting what are their skills, what are their weaknesses, and this really helps recruiter make the right decisions. Also, AI has been used in automatic highlight generation, which now allows to identify all the key moments in the game, like for instance here, the goals, the saves, and create short summaries or some reels for fan or sports analysts and coaches. And finally, in medical analysis as well, where AI can detect injury-prone movements or head impacts, which can support the medical field and prevent injuries or allow athletes to recover faster. And there are actually a lot more applications like action localization, video retrieval, or even extended statistics. However, it's not easy for AI to understand videos. So unlike humans, for us, we naturally interpret actions, objects, and context in videos, but a computer, he only sees numbers. So to a computer, a sports video isn't a match with players and goals. It's just a sequence of frames, each made up of a grid of pixel values representing different color intensities, such as red, blue, and green, as I'm showing here. And the real challenge in AI lies in extracting meaningful information from this numerical data. So for instance, like I was saying, recognizing a player or identifying a goal. And the transformation from numbers to insight is now made possible through some computer vision and advanced AI techniques, which try to gradually mimic a human-like understanding of sports videos. Now, most of the state-of-the-art approach, they rely on a data-driven approach, which revolves around three components. So data in, data out, and the model in the middle. And like Dr. Chan was saying earlier, garbage in, garbage out. So the data quality is actually very important. So here for us, the input or data in will consist in raw information like videos, images, or sensor data. And then the model will process this input by learning some patterns and mapping it to meaningful outputs. So finally, the data out represent the predictions or the results that we want. So identifying a goal or tracking a player, for instance. And like I was saying, this whole process relies on the data quality. So let me take a very easy example. Imagine we feed an image of a cat or a dog into a neural network. The network processes the image, breaks it down into some numerical patterns like edges, shapes, or textures, and then through some layers of computation, the model will recognize these patterns and output the prediction. So for instance, in this case, a cat, based on what it has learned during training. And if we formalize this, we can actually derive a general framework for artificial intelligence, where the objective here is to solve a particular task. And solving this task will require three components, which are the basis for our education strategy that comes right after. So first, we have the data. So this starts by asking yourself the question, which data do I have? So whether it is images, video, audio, or text data, for instance. And also, since artificial intelligence requires training, do I have labels associated with these data? Next, we have the output, which is what we want to achieve. So do I want to detect my players inside bounding boxes, segment them, or generate a text caption that would describe what is happening in the game? And finally, in the middle, we have the AI model, which can take many forms and whose objective is to go from the input data to the output predictions that solve the task at hand. And an important question here is, how do I evaluate the performance of the model? And how should I compare it to existing models in order to make an informed choice, for instance? Now, there are tons of tasks in sports video understanding, and here I'm showing a few that our lab has been pushing over the years. So these tasks range from action spotting, so extracting all the events of a game, to recognizing and characterizing fouls to help referees, or recognizing and tracking all the players on the field. And particularly, we associated each task some publicly available data, some baseline models, and some evaluation procedures and scores for benchmarking. So let's now see how we integrated this general AI framework into our education strategy through 3 pillars for teaching AI to any student. So whether they are engineers, data analysts, or like I was saying before, just someone who needs to use AI in his professional career. So the educational framework provides a structured way to define and solve tasks or research problems systematically, and will serve as the backbone for any future projects for the students. So this is based on 3 pillars, and the first one is the data pillar that focuses on identifying the right inputs and outputs for a task. So in their professional journeys, students will be confronted with data collection at some point, or at least using collected data for analysis or development of products. And it is therefore important that they understand this first pillar. Then in the center, we have the method pillar that centers on the approaches and the tools that are needed to solve the task. So of course, this is the core of many engineering and data scientist jobs. So being able to come up with a viable solution to a problem. And finally, we have the evaluation pillar, which is often overlooked in practice, unfortunately, but it's yet very important to ensure that the methods are assessed rigorously and using reliable benchmarks and scores. So, of course, any selection process that they will encounter in their career should lay on this last pillar, especially for quality engineers, for instance. And by defining tasks around these 3 pillars, students can actually create impactful applications that rest on solid grounds. So let me detail some key aspects of each pillar, starting with the first one, so the data. So the data pillar is the foundation for any research or industrial task, like I was saying. And it begins with exploring what is already available in terms of data. So to identify available resources and understand existing gaps. So for engineering students, of course, mastering these data pillars means understanding various data types. And sports environments offer particularly multiple modalities and data streams, so like videos, audio, sensor data like GPS or IMUs, body sensors, biometric data, and so on. So it is then important to introduce and modernize courses on data acquisition so that students can understand low-level signal processing, which are, of course, fundamental. And by focusing on this data, the student will be able to critically assess foundational element, decide what data to collect, ensure of its quality, integrity, and basically it creates a strong basis for solving any task. So let me now show you the skills that for us students need to develop in this first pillar, and which can be included in any artificial intelligence course at the university. So the starting point is data collection, and it's really important for students to develop the skills to construct a good database. So the first step is to clearly define the task and identify the type of data that is required to solve it. And from there, it's important to identify reliable data sources and ensure that the collection process is scalable for long-term use. So students should be able to select the right equipment to ensure quality. For instance, determining appropriate sampling frequencies or resolutions, and to be able to implement strategies to minimize data loss. Also, students should be able to come up with relevant strategies during data collection, so typically involving balancing cost, time, and quality, and also be able to document the entire process to ensure reproducibility and allowing others to replicate or build upon their work. An example of this process is the SoccerNet dataset, which my team and I developed over the course of the past 7 years. So this dataset is used for sports video analysis, and it wasn't built overnight. It involved an iterative process, starting with small data collection, gradually scaling up, refining, the collection and annotation methodology, and ensuring consistency through time. And this step-by-step approach allowed us to create this robust resource that has become now very important data set in sports AI research. And it's important that students develop the same skills to be able to build such valuable resources. After collecting data, next step is processing and cleaning the data. So this includes teaching low-level signal processing techniques like noise reduction, addressing missing data through imputation or interpolation, for instance. Also some cleaning strategy. They go a step further and identify and remove outliers and validate data integrity by cross-referencing with different sources. So students should be able to handle best practices like automating processes, workflows, wherever possible, which also reduces the risk of human error. And also it's crucial that they understand the importance of aligning the data format, their created data set with existing ones, which will allow backward compatibility between different data sets and in terms different methods and different benchmarks. And finally, in this first pillar, so students should also be aware of privacy considerations, which are becoming increasingly important in data-driven research, and particularly in fields like sports and healthcare, where sensitive personal data is often involved. So for example, GPS location data and health metrics pose privacy risks if not handled properly. So this includes the potential unauthorized sharing or unauthorized use of data. And engineers, researchers, educators have the responsibility to ensure that data is used with respect to the individual's rights. So this includes obtaining informed consent from data subjects, anonymizing data to protect identities, and clearly outlining how the data will be used and stored. And compliance with regulations like GDPR in Europe, but any other equivalent in other regions, is also essential to ensure legal and ethical data practices. And students should be aware that clear data ownership agreement should be established to prevent any dispute in the future. And yeah, so this is basically what I wanted to provide on this first data pillar. Now let's move to the second one, so the method pillar, which is at the heart of problem solving. It answers the how question. So how do we approach and solve a task? And this involves choosing the right tools and approaches, understanding the underlying principles, and staying informed about current trends and advancements in the field. So for students, understanding methods means going beyond specific architectures or solutions. It's about understanding the broader trends and principles so that they can adapt to changing technologies over time. And if nothing exists to solve a task, students need to be able to identify the gaps and propose innovative solutions that build upon what has been done before. So like I said, understanding trends in methods is crucial for students. So for example, if you consider the evolution from convolutional neural networks, which revolutionized computer vision around 10 years ago, to transformers nowadays, like they were mentioned in previous talks, which are now the state of the art in many domains, including LLMs. These shifts happen constantly. And understanding why certain approaches succeed or fail, or why they were only proposed at a certain time provided the technology that was available, is actually key to understanding the thinking process of developing new methods. And we want students to be able to analyze dominant models and techniques, recognize the limitations of current methods, and we want them to develop some critical thinking in predicting emerging trends based on trajectories of past research. And this can be put in place by emphasizing on comparing different methods, so the current ones with the historical ones. Now, in any engineering, AI, data analyst, or any other job using AI, students will be faced with the important process of selecting the right approach to solve a task. And this is not a one-size-fits-all process. It requires careful consideration of the task requirements and constraints. So for instance, some problems will prioritize accuracy, while others may demand faster inference times or lower computation costs. And the type of data also matters. So time series or multimodal tasks will not require the same tools. And as we've seen in the talks before, so approaches in artificial intelligence can usually be characterized into classical machine learning and more modern deep learning techniques. But what is interesting is also domain-specific adaptations. So leveraging the knowledge of the application field, so for instance, sports video understanding, and leveraging biases in those domains to improve performance. So not only teaching them to directly jump into the latest deep learning model, but to identify what domain knowledge they can leverage to solve the task more easily. However, I said also that one of the biggest challenge of the methods pillar is to stay current in the field that evolves rapidly. And AI tools and techniques are really advancing at a pace that can sometimes feel overwhelming for the students. To address this, what we recommend in our university is to emphasize on the importance of focusing on the principles behind the methods, so not only the specific architectures. And collaboration is also a very powerful tool. So working with experts from other fields, such as sports science with engineers or medicine with engineers, can provide some fresh perspective on how to solve a problem. And ultimately, our goal is really to instill some lifelong learning mindset in our students. So let's now move to the last pillar, so the evaluation pillar, which focuses on measuring the success and impact of a method. It answers critical questions. So like I put here on the slides, how do we measure success? Are the metrics reliable and aligned with the task? And what do the results tell us about the method's strengths, limitation, and applicability? And these evaluations serve multiple purposes. It allows to assess the effectiveness of the method, of course, and it provides a way to benchmark against previous works. And finally, it also helps identify areas where method may need some refinement. So the evaluation is really essential for ensuring rigorous and transparent work for the students. And it builds trust in whatever outcomes they have from their work. So to make sure that whatever they develop and put on the market is actually safe. Now, these evaluations are usually carried out using some evaluation scores. And most researchers usually use whatever is available before. So however, choosing this evaluation score is actually not trivial. And there are some questions, like which scores should you use to analyze a method's performance? How can you determine if a newly designed method outperforms existing one? And especially, how do you decide which score to use to rank methods? Now, selecting the best criteria to select a method is really not easy. So typically, only one or a few scores are used to rank methods, such as the one that I'm showing here, like the accuracy, the precision, or the F1 score that you may know. However, selecting a method based on different scores will actually lead to different selections. And this is because these scores only reflect part of the overall performance. And it is therefore important to also teach students about the limitations of such scores and to provide them with tools to properly select the best method for their specific problems. And finally, as a last important skills, is to be able to present their results. So whether it is in a research paper, to a superior in a company, or to convince some customers, visualizations like graphs, tables, and histograms are actually very powerful tools to communicate results effectively in a quantitative way. They can highlight the strengths of improvement and form the basis of any decision-making. Now, it's also important that they learn how to show the results qualitatively, because in the end, numbers are just numbers, and what we want is for the methods to work in the real world. So explaining in the different courses to students how they can present visually their results and provide feedback on their report is also a key component for their future skills. So that concludes our 3 pillars from the theoretical side. Now let's see a bit how we can also integrate some hands-on learning in these teachings. So hands-on learning is also an important part of education, and especially in fields like AI and data science. And this is why it's also interesting to include some laboratory session where students can gain practical experience on the first data pillar, so playing with sensors and apply signal processing techniques. And for instance, students might work with GPS trackers, accelerometers, or video cameras to collect data from simulated activities. And then during the exercise sessions, they can use the data that they collected themselves to play around with data analysis techniques, AI techniques, and so on. Now, another way to involve students is through projects, and particularly projects that are embedded in challenges. So we observe that here, when we provide students with a leaderboard and they have to be the best at the end of the course on some task, then they approach it in a more interesting and creative way. Because to be the best, they cannot just reuse whatever was available, because otherwise anyone does the same and everyone has the same solution. So it has to develop some creativity in them as well. And working as group also makes them engage into critical thinking and learning together and be able to learn together. So now I want to give you a few examples of applications where the AI that is developed by, like I said, the students before, so the engineering students, the computer science students, data analysts, medicine students, or physiotherapy students, can develop to also educate athletes and referees, so sports professionals. And I will show you how the technology that we have developed over the past 10 years here in our lab and also in KAUST can be used in sports education. So first of all, let me give you a bit of what is available also on the market. So here I'm showing 3 products. So the first one is a product by a French company called Footbar. It is a band that they put on the leg of players, and that will analyze with AI the movements of the players during the game, and then they will be able to compare their performance with respect to other of their friends or other of their or other professionals. Now there are also some new phone apps that allow to train young athletes. So they will track the body movement of the young athletes and then recommend some exercises and also scout them. So if the AI sees that the athlete is actually very good, it can recommend it to some teams. And also for performance optimization. So this is another lab at the University of Liège that is doing it for cyclists. Now, in one of the works that we've developed, so this one, we've actually used AI to automatically extract all players on the field and be able to reconstruct this radar view at the bottom, which can actually be used by coaches to understand the performance of their team, discover what strategy were successful or not, and also to analyze opponents, because usually you get access to data from your own team, but the only thing that you have access to for the other teams are the broadcast videos. And with our technology, they can actually extract information about an opponent and try to design a counter strategy for this. So basically, our goal here is to enable coaches to improve the performance of their teams. Now, we've also used our AI for referee education. So we designed a conversational chatbot, so like ChatGPT, where a human referee can, during the game, for instance, interact with it. So asking questions. Oh, was this a foul or not? And why? And the AI will say, yes, it is a foul because the defender hit the attacker on the foot. and did the defender play the ball? And then the AI will say, no, the defender did not play the ball, and so on, and try to argue. And this can be very useful for young referees, which are a bit less experienced, because they can have some kind of support from the AI. Now we are also trying to support referees in another way. So here in this work, what we wanted to do is to render some novel views from a set of existing views. So here I'm showing a toy example first of a truck that is being reconstructed in 3D. And you can actually move around in the scene freely with the camera. And this can be very useful for referees because usually they are trained on broadcast videos, so like the one that I'm showing here. But this is not what they see during the game. During their own game. What they actually see is rather something like this. And so with this new technology, what we are aiming for in the future is to be able to bring the point of view of the referee in training younger referees. And so this goes a bit in what Dr. Chen was saying about the metaverse. Here, you don't have to create the environment. The AI creates the metaverse environment for you, which is here at the game. And finally, we've also used AI for injury prevention and rehabilitation. So here, detecting all the headers movements. So when a ball hits the head or what type of header it was, and was it a dangerous one or not. And this can really help the medical staff understand when people need to be put out of the field because they might get concussion and stuff like this. So it's very useful also for injury prevention. So now let me conclude on all of this. We've covered a lot of materials. So we've explored how the three pillars, data, methods, and evaluation, form the foundation for students working with artificial intelligence. And to us, these pillars really ensure a clear structure and prepare students to tackle real-world challenges. And we've also seen that hands-on learning is a great way to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And finally, that AI in sports allow to also develop some great education tools for sports professionals. So my take-home message here really is that a structured approach is key to unlocking the potential of AI. So not just in sports, like I've shown, but actually across many domains. So thank you very much. And here is my info if you want to follow for more.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony, for your interesting presentation.
Thank you.
There is one question. Do you think that future AI assistant coaches and results predictions and talent acquisitions in sports will be widely used?
Yes. I think so. Right now, a lot of the analysis, the training of referees, of coaches, of players is actually done manually. So even for young teams, they have data analysts that go to the game and manually annotate everything, which is a very time-expensive process, and that doesn't allow the coaches to really focus on finding the best strategies because they have to first do this data extraction step that takes them a lot of time. So definitely helping them towards this, making it more streamlined is going to improve a lot the coaches, the coaching. Now, in terms of chatbot and so on, we are in contact with different referee institutions, and they would be very happy to actually have a chatbot that can interact with young referees when they review an action, so that they can learn from this AI chatbot without having to have an experienced referee that takes his time to also answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anthony. I don't think that there is any other questions in the chat. So with that, we come to the end of the day's agenda, and we would like to thank our distinguished speakers who shared their valuable knowledge and experiences during the conference. And of course, we would like to thank GEC Media Group for organizing the conference. Our esteemed audience, we hope that you all had enjoyed the presentations, and many thanks to each one of you, and looking forward to see you soon. Have a great day ahead.